And we're
live from Pahrump. How'd you like our dinner?
Yeah.
It's Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. We were doing the taco part of the Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. My name is Jimmy Lewis. I'm here with Big John Perkins. You can find him at... You're going to give your social media.
Do I have
handle.
one of those?
Yeah, you have a social media handle.
It's a Big Boar Savant.
Yeah, Big Boar Savant on Instagram, where he posts pictures of vintage bikes.
I do. And occasionally my child wrecking.
Yeah,
There's a couple out there.
Couple.
He's getting there. He's getting there.
Okay, so how's the sound, everybody? Just checking. Good. Janie's actually watching us today because she doesn't have to work. She said the Modelo looks good, and she's right. The Modelo is good. But hey, Janie, this is for you since it is Tech Talk Taco Tuesday, and all we talk about is motorcycle and motorcycle-related products. I have tequila, so don't be surprised. This is a new one. I'm pretty sure I'm not certified in this. This is Siempre. And so we're gonna have a little bit of this to get this episode rolling. And the reason I mentioned John and his Instagram handle is because he's our social media criticizer. I'd like to say advisor, but it just seems like it's never super positive. Always full of great ideas, which are not implemented.
Unimplemented, yes.
Yeah, they get unimplemented, and it's like, why don't you do this? And I go, that'd be a great idea. I just got to find somebody to do it. So you just you start following at Big Boar Savant, and you notice how he's managing his account. And I know you're one step ahead of me because you're using the child, I know how to. I want to go big on Instagram. I'm going to use boobs and children.
Yes. Certainly start with boobs and then end with children. It's kind of the motorcycles every other picture, and then yes.
So
But no,
John,
that's
here's to Siempre. You can tell me what you think of it. I already know what I think of it as a certified tequila risto. I'm sure you've heard about me talk about that, but we got a lot to talk about in tonight's show. We are going to talk about a WR450 versus a Yamaha 450 FX. We're going to talk about a Sierra 450X. We're going to talk about the Cristini all-wheel drive motorcycle. Ooh. We're going to talk about Andrew Short. And then we're going to talk about why you guys aren't buying enough T-shirts or clicking through our Amazon link, and how I'm taking next week off because of it. I'm going to go on strike because I have to go on work. Most people go on vacation, but I have to go on work.
Do we have is that Climb link through the DBT Amazon?
You could do it that way, but it's not. I'm not smart enough to do all that stuff. I could go in the background of our Amazon account and figure that stuff out, but that's where like a smarter person
Criticizer, remember?
No, that was a constructive criticism. Oh, that was criticism, I guess, but constructive criticism. So if you ever want to support us, help us out, you can always click through that link on the bottom of a lot of our stories on the website, the Amazon banner link. I will ship out T-shirts for at least the next day or two, and then I'm going to not do it for a week or so. So if you want one of these awesome T-shirts like I have right here, Dirt Bike Test, John's supporting. That's a Stank Dog T-shirt?
That is a Stank Dog shirt.
That's pretty nice, yeah. So...
The DBT stash was dirty right this second.
Yeah, and I was going to say, whenever you see me having a sip, you can talk, and that way it won't sound like I'm just gulping down my tequila. Although I didn't gulp it, I sipped it, and I'm actually kind of surprised by how that just tasted right now, because like a lot of times, like it depends on what you're eating, and my mouth is kind of a little bit on fire, but we're going to find out about how the fire works later. I made some salsa. That's all fresh stuff out of my garden. And we're going to try that in a few minutes.
Nothing but the finest around here.
We may be coughing. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be that hot, but it has the potential to be, because the chilies are like mystery chilies. I put a little thing that says what they are, but once they start growing.
And a little bit of that's probably the Pahrump dirt as well.
Pahrump dirt.
Not that this is a gardening podcast, but I mean...
We were going to talk about motorcycles.
Yeah.
Let's get right to it. Let's start talking about what I really wanted to get. You didn't pull one of my little cards away, did you? No. Oh no, here it is right here. No. So, as far as Tech Talk Taco Tuesday goes, our most popular episode is number 18, which has Andrew Short on it. and we're going to talk about Andrew Short, who just finished second overall in the Silkway Rally
buddy, and that went first
and first stage win on a World Rally, which is super awesome. And he's over there. They raced from Russia to China via Mongolia, and I never got to do that rally or a version of that rally they used to have back in the day. And everybody used to tell me, you got to go to Mongolia because it's like riding on a golf course. It's like, Jimmy, all grass, no stones. And so I'm super stoked for Andrew, but his episode is the most popular one. And John, the reason I bring this up is because your episodes, you have two of them that were really close in viewership. So that's why you need to get on your social media train and start promoting your episodes. And you think, because obviously you got a following, because they're definitely better than the ones I do by myself. Those ones are they're in the gutter, but you can listen to them. They're pretty funny. I dare you to go watch them and try to bump those ratings up.
By all means, repeats are good.
Yeah. So John needs to get on his Instagram account because I think Andrew's got you smoked on the Instas.
Oh boy, just by a couple, one or two followers,
like 100,000.
Yeah,
maybe 100,000 or so. Anyways,
I'm coming up on 100 or so.
If you're going to get on dirt bike tests for our amazing, I have some kids that are kind of supposed to be working on it, but they're more focused on their own personal accounts. I think. Yeah. I'm not really sure. I actually should probably follow them too, right?
So what you're saying is I should probably just take this whole deal over and
run with it.
Put a little spice into it.
Yeah, I'll get you to log into Dirt Bike Test, and then we'll put some children on and see if that does the bumping that we're looking for. Wait, no children. We don't say anything. I don't think on Instagram you can't say anything really that bad. It's not like Twitter.
No, by all means. We are hopefully in the process of children's T-shirts for DBT.
Oh man, are you the one that keeps emailing me with all those different accounts? And yeah, okay, that's our next batch. I'll set aside a little bit of the revenue that we don't have coming in to get children's T-shirts because nothing better than to dress your toddler up just like me.
Yes.
Yeah.
T3 would be a good selling size, I believe, but
I don't even know the sizes.
I think that's toddler 3.
Okay, because you have to scale all the stuff, so the artwork has to get scaled. This could be pricey.
Artwork the same, let it wrap around.
Do you spend a lot of money on your children's shirts?
I personally do not, unless it's really cool. So
okay, so I got because it could be just another like look at that wall over there. See all those T-shirts?
Yeah, those could be extra small kids.
I mean, we can just like tie the sleeves in knots and do that kind of stuff, right? Okay, back to so you've got to compete with Andrew Short on your thing, and Trevor Hunter, who's the other one that kind of works on our social media account.
I think you might have me beat as well.
He's got you beat too?
Yeah.
Well, he's faster than you. I know that.
Yes, he is.
I don't know if he's faster than me yet. Haven't tried to smoke him lately, but the last time I beat him, and just to like rub the thumb in a little bit. Because I want him to come out and train with me because he's making some. I mean, I watch him ride and I go, oh, Jesus! Right. Like there's 4 or 5 little things that he could do, and you know this from helping at the schools. That just like little stuff that'll make a big difference, and I'll never be able to see him again. But so Trevor, I don't even know if that's him. He switched. So he manages the Facebook account. You notice it went from what was it before? It was a Honda. It was a Honda with. I think it was Ryan that was on, Ryan Nitzen. Ryan's dad is one of our super fans on the a top fan, by the way, on the thing. And I still forgot to go in and look to see how you make people top fans. But so I think Ryan was the guy on the Ken Roxon bike, and now I think it's Trevor on the Kawasaki. So he's kind of following my footsteps.
He's got the password, is he?
He's always had the password. But when you're in charge, you know how like if you're the magazine editor of the magazine, you put yourself on the cover of the magazine. Wow. I only did that about 7 or 8 times, maybe.
That's it.
So Trevor, good job. Putting yourself on the cover of because the Facebook page is kind of that's it, and of course you can put yourself on the cover of the website www.dirtbiketest.com. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you should probably go there and check it out. Because there's like a lot of covers, it's like sliders that go by, but
and eventually you get bumped off of that one and work your way down a little bit, but it's okay.
Yeah, because you've been on there a few times.
Yeah, if I could get the password for that as well, that would be fantastic.
Wow.
Anyways.
Well, hey, you know, and I never say anything nice about anybody before just beating them back into submission. So Trevor posted, he did an awesome job on the betas, the 2020 betas. Oh, that's what else we're going to talk about. I got to write that down because I'm going to forget. 2020 betas. Okay. So he did a kind of like beta release their press information yesterday. So we got it and Trevor took it, digested it. Makes it so you don't have to read all of the stuff, just the important things. And he was really impressed that beta finally, or revolutionarily went to oil injection.
I love the idea.
Oh, I know you love the idea, but you don't understand the sarcasm here. They've been oil injected for a few years.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, beta has. It's not. I mean, but the big thing that beta switched to is they went to counterbalance.
That's cool.
So they have a counterbalance motor. Remember when we took your motor apart? There was the stuff in there.
It was ready for it.
It was ready for it. The castings were in there. You could machine it out, and there could have been a counterbalance inside of it.
They had plans for it, and that was a 2013 motorcycle.
Yeah.
So they've had the idea for a while.
It was funny, and I kind of poked around in some different forums to find out if in the past they had a counterbalanced motor, because I remember when I saw that, I kind of thought that they may have, but I don't know that much. I'm not a beta historian. I've probably ridden every one of them, but I don't know if that was the case, that they actually had a counterbalanced motor. And I know they used to have a slower revving motor, you know, quite a while back, you know, in the 2008s and stuff like that. And maybe it was counterbalanced back then, but I don't remember, because that would be one of the things you would take it out to make it more aggressive.
I don't have a lot of experience with trials bikes, but I don't know, would those guys benefit from that? I would say probably so. So are there smaller? I mean, they're same size displacements, but smaller motors.
Their trials motors are completely different.
That's what I'm getting at, though. Were those, because 2013 was kind of the beginning of Beta's modern two-stroke, XC style bike. You know, real true race bike.
So those cases on that bike were not from they were brand new.
Those cases were designed for 2013, as far as I know.
Oh, okay.
Because that was a first year bike.
See, I don't know that. I don't have the history. I know we got a couple beta historians on the they're guys that are they're dyed in the wool beta riders that are in on the forum, and they might be able to answer and fill us into that. But anyhow, so the big news, it was funny because I told Trevor, man, great job. You broke down that information. It was good. And then I just said, and that oil injection, it's been on the bikes for a few years now. But in his defense, he's only ridden beta RRs, which always had that removed. And so he'd never experienced the oil injected one. I love the oil injection. I remember the first time we had it, I was a little skeptical. I'm like, is this really going to work? I mean, Yamaha had it back on that little JT60 that I had that we put in a go-kart, and that didn't work very well. I've never seized a motor so many times.
They worked good right up until the point when they stopped working, which was fairly common.
And
everything stopped working.
And I think because these are now digital, the way they're controlled and stuff. There's a computer controlling how much oil's going in, so it knows when it's wide open and it pumps the right amount of oil in. That little JT60. It pumped enough oil to just be going burp, burp like that, but it was in a go-kart, and we had that thing taped all the time, and it seized, like I said, more times and I blamed oil injection. So I always thought, you got to take it off, and that is a common fear, and I know a lot of guys were taking it off because they wanted to mix their oil, but even that, and then even the KTM, the TPI bikes that have it, it's spot on. It does a really good job, as long as you're running the right oil. And I know guys have put the wrong oil in there, and they're the first guys to seize their bike and then go to the internet and say oil injection doesn't work. So
like anything, it's really hard to find internet reviews on something that work good.
Yeah. Well, it's always if it doesn't work. So, anyways, good job on that, Trevor. Great job on putting your cover on the your photo on the cover of the Facebook page, and it did freshen look up a little bit, and which is nice because it was looking kind of Hondy, and now you've influenced John to wreck my our Facebook page.
There we go.
Yeah. So
we're getting somewhere.
Okay, I promised that John would answer all of the questions right off the bat without referring to a reference manual. Well, Craig Hunter's on here, or he was on here earlier. That's Trevor's dad. I used to race with Craig back in the day. Let's see. That was done before before we actually got live going. Audience is listening. Yeah. Let's see. See any questions in there that kind of no sound? Yeah, okay, well, that's all right. There was no sound because we had the sound shut off because we were crunching on tacos. So what we're going to do is from now on we're going to start up a little bit early, or at least start the camera up a little bit early just to get things rolling. But then they give us a chance to eat our tacos. So if you like that idea, you can just start smashing that thumbs up button right now, and I'll see it in about 20 seconds. Then I'll know that was a good idea or it was a bad idea.
So before we get too started here, we're loving the taco idea and everything, but I've got a question about the Kawasaki 250, the KX 250.
Correct. Yeah.
And this is not so much pertaining to that particular motorcycle, but more or less the current state we are in motorcycles. At what point are we going to start dropping the F off of the 4-stroke line?
Kawasaki just did that.
That's why. I was
that's why. Okay, I
didn't
know that. I'm sure they made a big deal of it at the press intro. So the reason for the F means 4-stroke. Generally means 4-stroke, and it was back when brands had a 2-stroke 250 and a 4-stroke 250. That's why there were some bikes like there was a KX 450, and then there was a KX 250F, and then some of the KTM's were EXC-Fs. So. I don't know. It's just it's a name. I just look at the exhaust pipe, right?
Yeah,
that's what I tell her.
I've been kind of contemplating that over the last couple of years, going, when are the big manufacturers? Kawasaki. Odds are they're probably not going to drop that Dream KX 300 with TPI and kickstand and 18. That's probably not going to happen.
Oh, the one that pops up on the internet every year. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is quote branding. I mean, it's like it's known. They have an image and a logo, and there's a branding to it. Now with hashtags or stuff like that.
Yeah.
If we take it away, then it's all of a sudden it's going to get convoluted with the 2-stroke ones. But I mean, how long has it been since Kawasaki made a KX 250 2-stroke?
12 years.
12 years? Yeah. You've been counting every year. You slit your wrists just a little bit just to feel the pain a little bit more.
Just an estimate of years.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm trying to find questions on this thing, and I'm going to go ahead and hit the reload button. I heard that works. So see if we get some more questions because my feed's stopped. And we'll see what goes on. Yeah. So you know what? This week is funny. Nobody has hardly any questions.
That's because we've done so well at answering them in the past that
I think they're scared to ask the questions because the guy last week that asked the question about he had all these bikes and he was kind of contemplating between getting a 350 or a 410 and stuff, and he actually it was kind of cool. He actually emailed back. He watched one of the things on YouTube, and he commented back on YouTube, and he said, "Hey, thanks," and then he put some more definitions because I said, "I don't know which one. I mean, what am I? I don't know which one you get." But he kind of threw some of the prices out there and a little bit more what he was thinking about, and that it made it easier. But I did a pretty good guess. Whatever I told him the answer was, I forget.
That's one thing. That's one thing that's super hard to kind of collaborate together when you're comparing bikes. Cost has to do a lot of it. I mean, let's face it, majority of us that ride motorcycles have to pay for them.
Oh, yeah.
So, when it comes time to reviewing them and you look at all the big name guys that review their bikes, and it's like very rarely do you see a lot of talk about the cost.
Oh.
Where.
Yeah. It comes from a guy who's ridden, almost every brand new bike for the last, 20 years and has not had to pay for any of those bikes when I was riding them to review them. So, and I totally agree with you 100%. But as not only as a test rider, but also as a guy running a magazine or putting this information out, I always put myself in the position. It's like, look, this is my $10,000. I'm hedging a $10,000 bet if I buy this thing that, hopefully it's the right one for me. I'm going to like this. And a lot of people do get a chance to do test rides or your buddy has one or something, but majority of people probably have to rely on reviews to really find out how it works. Now,
yeah, it's super hard to find a buddy that's got just went out and bought a brand new every single color motorcycle.
Yeah, is that important? I mean, is it there's so much. There's like a lot of things like brand loyalty, which I kind of don't I don't really understand. I mean, I do, but I don't, because I mean, I have my, I don't want to say I'm brand loyal, but if whatever I like right now, and it's funny because when people start,
570,
did you say Husaberg?
maybe.
Okay, when people start accusing me of being kind of brand biased, or you're a Honda lover, and then I'll like, not really. I mean, I just like this bike is working really good, and next week I'll be a Yamaha lover, and then the next week it's a KTM lover, and so as long as somebody doesn't dangle a Husaberg in front of me, this could be a little bit problematic.
Fighting words.
So I have a couple in the garage. We go out and start them up?
Like 2 of them, right?
Yeah, go rev them up a little bit. So it's like I like riding whatever the best thing is at the moment, and also targeting the proper bike for the ride I'm going to do. But a lot of people don't have that opportunity to have so many different things. But I'm fully aware. I just bought 2 KTMs. Did I say that out loud? Yeah, I bought 2 KTMs because they're the best, by the way. Yeah. Absolutely the best. I bought a 250 and a 350 EXC because it was our test bike, our 350 EXC. I kind of really fell in love with that thing, and my wife even more so. So that's her new bike. And then I got a 250 because for the schools to have a small one for training and stuff, and for tight technical trails, it's actually pretty fun. And they're not making it anymore, so. They're on closeout.
Last year, huh?
Good deal. Yeah, good deal on one of those things.
So here's a problem with that is so we've got people that now you can't go out and ride 10 different motorcycles all brand new that your buddy just bought, right? So now you got to rely on reviews. Well, what do you do when there's 3 magazine companies and 4 different reviews on the same motorcycle?
Mitch, you love this, don't you? You're laughing.
Open up the journalist.
Yeah,
I was going to say go to dirtbiketest.com.
Yeah, of course you go to dirtbiketest.com because we're the only unbiased, honest, credible opinion. No, everybody has an opinion, and this is kind of I've always said this. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. They have their own way of looking at, how something works. Is it going to work for them? How they treat it, what they do. It's all this. Your opinion is valid to you, especially, and then how much is it valid to other people? It kind of depends. I always say that starts rolling back on experience. Like, how much experience do you have in comparing it to the other things that are in that market? And even when I'm looking at some of the guys that are riding for us and testing bikes, sometimes they'll say something and it kind of strikes me as, I don't know about that. And I think about, they haven't ridden the other one, or they're not comparing to this one. And now, like, the guys like Trevor and Ryan have been riding the bikes they've gone through a couple of years cycles. So when they ride a 250F, they go, hey, you know what? The Yamaha is the benchmark for low end power in the 250F class. And I'll tell you why, because the engine spun around backwards and it got that intake. That's a special thing. It's going to be hard for anybody else to get that kind of
less corners, less.
Yeah, they're on a 250F. I remember when I rode the 450, and I said, if they ever do this to the 250F, it's dangerous, and it is dangerous. So that's, and knowing that, and then okay, so everybody's like, well, we can't match them there, so they're all shooting for this top end thing, and so everybody's playing around trying to get different power, but having the experience to be able to understand that and talk about it and explain it makes it valuable. It's not good or bad. I mean, some people may never even ride the Yamaha where the Yamaha is good. And so what difference does it make? You need to ride it in different things. So you kind of have to identify what your target audience is, who are you trying to sell this bike to, and we try to test them for what they're designed for. So in other words, you will not see us take motocross bikes and go out and go trail riding with them. We just don't do it. You ever see us do that? You ever done that with us?
That's just
it's
asking for bad reviews.
Yeah, because they're not designed to do it. And one may be better than the other one, and maybe that's what you're going to actually do with it. But then that's why we do, project bikes, or, somebody will do a project bike with something like that, or try to convert it to make it a little bit more. Did I just beat up on you because you have a CR? You bought the CR 450 and but you go to the track quite a bit.
I do.
Yeah. So you're more of a.
I'm in the middle, right?
Yeah, you're kind of more of a track guy now. I remember you were just a trail guy, and now you're a track guy, race guy. Switches.
I still got some of those trail bikes. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's okay.
XR200?
I do. It's pretty nice.
Yeah. KDX 200?
I have one of those as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is about as good as it gets for.
Trail bikes, right?
Well, it's like, there's the trail bike scale, and then, somewhere right at the top, there's the KTM 200, and then right above it is where the KDX 200 kind of squeezes in there, just edges it out.
Did you invite me to the KX two-stroke owners group on Facebook?
Gosh, I might have.
That's a good group. I mean, it's funny. You can go. That's kind of some of the cool things. You can go and find these different groups where, you guys with some special needs can talk to each other and deal with your issues and get stuff sorted out and sell stuff either for really good deals or ridiculously high prices. Because I saw on that forum today, I'll tell you, I saw a guy hucking a brake pedal for like a KDX 200, like $250. I mean, that brake pedal that's worth almost as much as the bike. The bike's got to be like $350, right?
They roll in right around $6.
Right around $6
for a good clean one. Pretty solid machine.
Yeah, so that's why you want to hang a $250 brake pedal on it. But it was probably custom billet machine just specifically for that bike, and it's probably that part's probably no longer available.
I will have you know that I have, as appealing as this conversation is, I have recently spent an absurd amount of money on a pair of Works Connection frame guards for that particular motorcycle that are no longer in production. I was pretty stoked about it. Anyways, we got some questions rolling in here.
Yeah, okay, we got questions. You cannot only own one bike, sorry. Yes, you can. Boy, there are questions rolling in.
You can own only one motorcycle. And this kind of rolls back to the KDX 200.
See, okay, yeah. So Craig Hunter, Trevor's dad, no questions. But after riding the Yamaha WR450 and the 450X FX, the WR was absolutely amazing and felt comfortable right away. And how come the handguard was broken off of it? Mm-hmm. Was that comfort or was that pain? A lot of log hopping on their ride. But anyway, so those bikes, and we'll talk. Well, thanks for bringing that up, Craig. We'll talk about that right now. The WR. So we've had the Yamaha WR450 for a while now. We just got the YZ450 FX, and these are both 2019s, and we wanted to get them before they got them out of their press fleet. We wanted to get the FX because I rode it back east, and I was really impressed with that bike back east. But when I got the WR here, I said, okay, that would have been in my head right away. That would have been better back east. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to get them in the same place to compare them. Unfortunately, that FX has not come into my possession yet. Of course, Craig got to ride it, and Trevor took it. They took him up to Utah. It drove right by here and never stopped. And then next thing you know, they're down in Baja with my wife and Jen Morton on a Baja bound ride. They did a Hooters on scooters, and so those two got to compare them. And I quizzed Heather a lot on the two different bikes, and I'm trying to hook up with Trevor to go riding later on at the end of this week before we have to turn this back in, just so I can do it. And then even when we were riding the WR with up here locally with Kevin, it's mm-hmm. Kevin, right? He has the older FX.
He's got a 16
or 17 FX, and that was pretty educational riding those two back. But it just showed me how good that last little progression Yamaha's made on the chassis and stuff came. But and then we're also going to compare it, and I've ridden them back to back, the WR with the Honda Sierra 450X. So another bike we'll hit on. But so we'll get a lot of those comparisons up. But the biggest thing between those two bikes is the WR, I feel, it used to be just I'll call it, put it politely, a bush pig.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just never adapted. It didn't get any of those good Yamaha, like, YZ qualities. It seems like when it went, especially when they brought FX, the WR, it just, something happened to it. And I think it has a lot to do with the emissions corking up that they do to it. But also whatever they did to the suspension just made it feel like it added weight to the bike. And it was always kind of lazy in comparison to a YZ for sure and an FX by like a long shot. I would always, everything about me, unless I needed to have that quote green sticker, that kind of compliance, in California, I would never do the WR. But when I got this one, I was like, man, they
right there, capable bike.
yeah, even stock, even even when you take the throttle stop out and the little tiny sniffer out of the muffler, and there's an intake restriction. You take those things out, it's pretty darn good.
Yeah, which, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it almost felt like when Yamaha went from the steel frame WR 2005-ish era, and I know a lot of this comes from progression with aluminum frames and kind of getting to flex a little bit more and not quite be this giant hunk of rattle your teeth out type of motorcycle frame. But I think what happened was they kind of went to this much more rigid frame, but we're still trying to do this open suspension. So they, open chamber suspension. So they tended to be kind of wallery, but yet the frame was really stiff.
Yeah, and what was there was the year that there's a I just rode with a guy up in the mountains up in Washington that had that, I want to say it's a 15. It's the one where they put the WR450 motor into the YZ250 chassis. The first year of the fuel injected WR. Oh, that was a mistake. And I told the guy, and I felt bad for saying it. That I told him that that's one of my top 5 least favorite bikes. Right along with the Suzuki RMZ. The first time I rode the Suzuki, kind of that same thing, because these bikes they try to take the motocross bike and turn it into quote emissions compliant bike, and they don't cross they do enough stuff to where it could almost be a dual sport bike. That's how corked up they get. And then the chassis, like the Suzuki was the most rigid, stiffly suspended chassis, and it was really hard to uncork it essentially. And then the Yamaha, same thing. But kind of back to the thing with the new WR is they've done a good job with it. And if you take the minor little restrictions out, it's still quiet. It's the bike goes pretty darn good. And then when out here, because we don't have those kind of rules out here, and if you're going to race it, do competition, you put that competition ECU in it, and then you can tune it just like the YZ. And then so it's basically it turns it into almost an FX. And I say almost, and this is where I was talking to Heather and Jen Morton about how it was working, and it was like they said for trail riding, cruising down in Baja, which was for them, kind of trail riding and stuff like that. Like the motors were gnarly. They weren't like and Heather rides a KTM 350 most of the time, and she was like, it's not like my KTM. I mean, when you turn that throttle, this thing like lunges and goes, and even the WR. A little bit less than the FX, and then they even were trying the different maps, and it said it still wasn't quote mellow enough to be. I mean, it was fine, but what she said it was great for if I were going to ride faster, but I didn't want to ride any faster. so it's kind of gone a little bit more over into where it's a race bike. But that's the direction everything's going. I mean, everything's getting
fuel injected. Those bikes are making crazy amounts of power, and even detuning them, they're faster than they were in 2005. So
yeah,
but it's funny that often gets a common misconception when people are looking at riding motorcycles. A lot of times people, hey, I'm an off-road racer. I'm an off-road guy. I want more top end. And in reality, off-road, how often do you use the top end of the motorcycle?
Yeah,
especially for an average rider. Odds are you're never at the top of the power. So,
did you see that video today? That guy that was one of his top 5 mods to do to your bike is he showed you how to adjust your throttle so you can get it to 11.
Oh, full stretch the cable type.
You didn't see that, did you?
No,
it's going a little bit viral. It's a guy. Tokyo Moto or something like that. It was posted. I saw it on Enduro 21 today. But he had a mod that he can turn his throttle to 11, and I just laughed. I was like, I laughed because I have the mod. I can turn it to 12.
Can you link that? Because mine only goes to 9.5.
Yeah, 9.5. Yeah. It's a pretty good thing. But I'm surprised, because they had a couple other tips. He talked about how to shorten your power band if your power band got stretched out. He had a tip about that and stuff. But
you fold it in half that way.
Well, he tied it in a knot. Yeah, he tied it in a knot, but
less reliable.
Yeah,
more adjustability though.
I'm still trying to instill in everybody how important it is to know how to adjust your 2-stroke valves, because nobody even knows where they are.
Because both of them, right?
Yeah, both of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't worry. There's some of my journalist colleagues that would actually like right now be Googling that. So,
Well, how about the Suzuki question?
the
I rather
Suzuki
like
question.
that.
Well, I like the question about if you guys could only own one bike, what would you pick? You have 3 seconds.
Oh, 3 seconds?
I'll answer mine. KTM 500.
The new CRF 450X.
You're kidding,
I kid you not.
Wow.
Kid you not.
That's only because your picture's on it. I think it's one of the ones that's rotating up behind us. I think you might be up there. You just fell in love with that.
Honestly, I think the KTM.
You own a CRF 450R.
I do.
Yeah. And you like my X better? The Dirt Bike Test X?
For like everyday riding, yes. If it was my go-to motorcycle, I would rather it.
Yeah. So just one bike, and then you'd quit going to the track.
In all honesty, if I had to make like a hands down, non-biased opinion, I think the KTM 500 is actually a far superior bike.
It's a big blanket.
It just doesn't fit me as well as the Honda. I tend to fit a little better on it. The ergonomics of it kind of match my large frame a little better than the KTM. The older KTMs fit me a little better. New ones not so much.
Yeah.
But as far as motor and components and suspension qualities and KTM 500.
Wow. So you're okay.
I'm stealing your answer, man.
Yeah, you just wanted to be different. You need to run to social media on your Instagram and post on Big Bore Savant that you've got your Honda lover.
Like I said, Honda lover, but I agree that the KTM is probably better.
It's just it's an easy choice. Why didn't you say Husky? You could have said Husky.
I could have, but see the problem is the bigger gas tank on it's harder to get.
Yep, and that's a problem out here. Yep. Okay, so what's up with Suzuki? They released their 2020 off-road and dual sport bike, except for the DRZ 400S and the RMX 450. Could a revised DRZ based on the RMX be on the horizon? Is this where we submit questions? You know what, Rob? You submitted it in the absolute perfect right spot, and John's going to answer that question right now.
Money. It's money. The problem is
the question is money.
Well,
yeah, no, that's a good question.
The DR400 was a really cool bike, really awesome bike. But if they added fuel injection and made an aluminum frame, it would.
And that's why it's not in the lineup, because currently I'm pretty sure, and if Chris Real is out there, he would jump in and tell me whether I'm misspeaking. But I'm pretty sure that right now you're not going to get away with carburetors anymore from this year forward. So you're going to have to be fuel injection. And it's not that the carburetor wasn't efficient enough. It's that if your bike with a carburetor happened to tip over, it would spill. And it's hard to catch that properly. So, and you know, it also helps with, we're in almost 2020 now. So come on, let's get off those carburetors.
But honestly, at the end of the day, it's, you know, if they turned a DRZ 400 into what you want it to be in your mind, it would cost $12,000 like the rest of them, and then you wouldn't buy one. It kind of all boils down to...
it is that, and in reality, that the RMX is it was designed off the RM, so it was never ever designed to be an emissions compliant kind of bike, and that motor was never designed to have the durability that a company like Suzuki would want to have running down the street, because they've got to design it to the nth degree that guy, like on the you see guys commuting on DRZ 400s all the time. I mean, that's a great bike. It's a good, durable, long lasting motor. The RMZ motor, based off the RM, is designed to win motors at nationals and race in Supercross.
And that's why when you look at the motor and you look at a DRZ motor from the older years, and it's the cylinder's twice the size. It's because everything's kind of overbuilt. They're a little more rugged, a little more durable. They can go miles on the street without exploding, where your 450 is really not going to love that for very long at
I got
6,000 RPMs.
Yep, I got one for you. Casey and Aaron wants to know. She, those are, I can't tell. Okay, so taking on the Tour of Idaho. If you were going to take on the Tour of Idaho next month, John, would you have a specific skid plate to recommend?
Oh yeah. Probably the Acheruby's full skid plate or the TM Designs. The TM Designs a little thicker, a little more durable, a little heavier.
Did you see both the logos floating up here, and that's why you said that answer?
No, that's because what I own. Oh. I own both of those skid plates.
And you paid full pop for them too.
I did.
Yeah. See, there's the TM Design Works logos. I have to agree. I am trying to remember what I had on my bike when I did Tour of Idaho. I'm going to guess it was the TM Designs plate, although I may have actually had an Enduro Engineering on one. That's an aluminum one. And I constantly am slowly going away. I've always been anti-aluminum on the skid plate thing, but of all of the skid plates, the aluminum ones that I put on there, that one or that bike didn't seem to respond too bad, and it's got a lot of dents in it. But I did have it on my 500 for a long time, so I have to agree that you kind of it's not that you're buying something that you're gonna purposely smash into something. It's like on accident, and and so some people Black Dog makes one that just like covers everything, and it's big and heavy and made out of thick material, but it affects the way the bike handles. So
and that's where I kind of balance the Cherubies versus the TM Designs, where the TM Designs is a little more of a moto style skid plate. It's a little smaller, a little closer to the frame, where the TM kind of wraps up around the
yeah, that's what you said. So the Cherubies is a little bit, Cherubies is a little bit thinner, and the TM Design Work has some bigger, thicker plates.
Yeah, and it also usually on most bikes it kind of rolls up around the inlet for the radiator, and
I have one of each of those on some of my KTM 500s out there, and I should probably at some point when I have a free moment when I'm not working, write a story about or talk about the skid plates and stuff.
And kind of one of the unsung heroes of those skid plates is they do have that. Usually the front mount is a hook, so they snap on, and a lot of times they have 1 or 2 bolts in them, and then they just snap right off.
Actually, some of the stock KTM skid plates are actually pretty good. The ones that used to have the single clips, and they rose up and protected pretty well.
But it's nice because they're if you're like me, you certainly can't change the oil with the skid plate on.
Yep.
So it's nice to make them where they come off easy.
What is my preferred sprocket setup for the KTM 950 or 1090? I think that question goes to you. No, wait, you don't have one.
I don't.
Yeah, that's KTM. That's not KDX. Sorry. Yep. I am currently running Dirt Tricks. Not Dirt Tricks. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get in trouble from Nate. DDC, Delaney Drive Components, sprockets, 2 teeth bigger on most of my KTM adventure bikes, of which I have too many of those. So, the DDC, and the good thing about Nate at DDC is he supports a lot of the land use and off-road stuff. Really good guy, and they're indestructible sprockets for the most part. So, Bobby, hopefully that answers your question. I can not only own one bike. You're right. I can't. Special needs. Yep. Hey, Victor. Let's see. Victor is a popsicle guy. Did you ever get a popsicle King of the Motos?
Probably. It sounds like something I'd be into.
Yeah, he is the popsicle guy. I met him out there. He's a friend of Eric Kudla's, and he showed up out there with a case of popsicles, and they were like homemade, the good ones, and the little Mexican cart ones like that. He makes them. He manufactures those things.
Hispanics, what you meant to say, but I understand.
No, Victor, Mexican, right? You're gonna correct me on this. It's Mexicano. They're a good thing. KDX 200s are the perfect do-all bike. I think John will disagree with you. Do-all bike? Perfect do-all bike?
I'm pretty sure 2 of them actually ran the Pahrump Dakar rally here a couple years ago. So
2? You mean were there 2? I know you were on one.
I was definitely on one.
I think there was only one.
Or did it take you 2 bikes to get through it?
Let's not.
Give specifics.
I do own 2 of them.
Trying to keep up with the Samurai?
Justin asks, why can some bikes like the new Sierra 450 have so much less engine braking than others like the YZ? Excellent question, Justin. This is where we get into some of the stuff that we can explain and other people can't. And by the way, so one of the things that Heather did tell me about the difference between YZ FX and WR was the FX has so much more compression braking, and it has a little bit to do with the mapping because you can adjust it with mapping. That was one of the things that made it aggressive, because when you chop the throttle and even a little bit, it had compression brake feeling.
Yeah, which is a super good thing if you plan on pounding into a corner at full speed or whatever.
So in reality, what that is it's a characteristic, and a lot of the engine designs now, they're actually pushing the cylinders forward on the engine, so it's actually an offset crank location, so it reduces compression braking. It's all have to do with the forces on the piston and where it's driving when it's under power and off power. But it seems like less. The general consensus is like less is better, but it is one of the advantages, the inherent advantages of a 4-stroke is compression braking. It actually helps the bike. It decelerates, it settles the bike. And so having the optimum amount is something that, guys on these race teams that actually spend all their time tuning the engines. They're not just trying to get more power, they're trying to get a certain feel, and compression braking is one of them. So you can advance and retard the ignition or add a little bit extra fuel in there. And I remember back in the old days when I was racing a Honda XR250. Yeah, XR250. Yeah, it's no XR200. That mine had 4 valves. Yeah. So we would actually adjust the compression braking with the idle speed mostly, because if you just, and it's funny, but if you just run a little bit of idle speed up, you can get rid of a lot of that. So there's a certain amount that's inherent to the engine design, and it's different between each bike. And then there's a certain amount that you can play with and tune. So if you ever have too much or too little, play with your idle. I still even do it on 2-strokes. I mean, that's how sensitive I am to something like that, where I'll play with the idle a little bit so that it actually it doesn't, like, if it's too high, it runs on and ding ding, and if it shuts off, then it really shuts off. So there's like a happy place in there. So let's see. And can other makes be modified? I think I just talked that. Yeah, good. I answered that question. Other makes reduce engine braking. Let's see. Ambrose asks, there is a tool for every job. My bike Horde is like a socket set. Okay, maybe a worn out socket set with no 10 millimeter. Well, then it sounds like you need either a KDX 200 or a KTM 500. Ambrose, hopefully that helps you out there. Kim Boos, 6'4", 200 pounds.
Small guy.
Yeah, that's what I knew you were going to say that. Mostly Takati single track, Los Encianos, and some high desert technical stuff. Selling my CRF 450X and leaning towards a 500 EXC, but considering a 350. Here we go. This is the question. Okay, you got the magic ball? We're going to have to eat some salsa here in a second, so you might want to break that thing open.
I've actually got a little bit of experience.
Let's see. Well, hold on. I got to get there. Considering a 350 or 450 EXCs has to be platable, have an XR 650R for longer trips. Any opinion or advice? Well, let's see. So you have the long distance stuff covered on the XR 650R, and you're selling your CRF, because hopefully it's an older CRF 450X, carbureted one. I'm just going to guess. This is where more information, so we're just breaking it down. 500cc, but can he, at that size? So he's 7 inches taller and 20 pounds heavier than me. So he's in between us.
Yeah,
you should come here and sit right here, and then we can talk about this. Yeah, right in the middle. Man, you're just
go sit on him.
Go sit on him.
Go sit on him. Go find a dealer and sit on one.
But I'm worried about the 350 power deficit. You know, the 500 to 350 power deficit.
It's a big number on paper.
Yeah, and you can just, on the 350, you can just turn the throttle a little bit farther anytime you're riding it, and probably have plenty for what you're doing. It's just he's at 200. At 200, I'm going to say 350 is okay. Once you hit like 210, 215, that's where
I really don't feel it drops off too bad until about 250. But
okay, really, you would know better than me. I don't know. I notice it when I ride a 250F. I'm at 195. 185, 195. I always say 185, but like when I put my gear on and stuff, I'm up there. I'm in 200 pounds when I got my gear on. But when I hop on a 250F, and especially like an off-road one, that's when I really feel it, and the bike just doesn't pick up the way that it should. But a 350 for me at my weight, it's fine.
Seeing as he's really looking for technical stuff though. And again, with the lack of information, we don't know your rider background. Odds are most people can't use a 500 for what 500 is worth, and 350 is a little more comparable number to rideability versus power. And
I always go back to my same thing. It's an analogy of revs versus torque. If you're a torquer, if you like your XR 650 more than you like your CRF 450X. You're a torquer. You're going to lean towards a 500, and the 500 will make your older Honda feel heavy.
Oh boy.
heavy and sluggish. I mean, the 500 will feel like a 250F. That's, and I'm not just saying that. I just said it. But the like I said, the 350. You know, if you don't mind revving something, if you don't mind, putting a little juice into it when you really want it to go, or to get the kind of power you need, then 350. So it's torque versus revving. That's really the kind of the answer.
Yeah.
Oh, someone says that KTM 200s are pretty good. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, no.
That was my two-stroke of choice, but I'm starting to go in. I'm going into TPI zone. By the way, I get to go ride new TPIs at the end of next week up in Washington.
That's a weird way to pronounce KDX.
No, that's a KTM. It's a patented KTM thing, and that's why nobody else has two-stroke fuel-injected bikes right now. So KTM 350 XCF is the best all around according to Craig Hunter, and I'm gonna shoot him down because that thing has a linkage that hangs down like a. You ever talked about the scrotum sack?
Whoa.
Here, I don't know where we got in that discussion.
It's just constantly dragging in the dirt.
It's best not. That's why I like XCW or EXC, Craig.
That's really personal preference too, and it depends on how many logs you plan on jumping over, and et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, so there's a guy that has an 18 KTM 500, and he's pretty happy with it, and he also has an XR 650R and a CR 450X. Hey, Mark. You need to get one motorcycle, like that 3 motorcycle stuff. That's for motorcycle journalists and professionals only. Whoa, San Felipe Bob actually joined in.
Oh boy, never seen him before.
Yeah, no, and he doesn't even have a top fan. Wait, he does. He does have a top fan notation on there. He's on vacation with the family.
Nice.
So he's on vacation, but so next week I'm not going to be here, so I'll be working. My friend bought a new TM300EN. How do we tune the electronic power valve? Jim, I really don't know. I have not had one of the TMs. I think the 125 we had, like in one of my last hurrahs at Dirt Rider, had an electronic power valve, and we spent all our time just trying to jet that bike. So I didn't play around with it, but I don't know. But there's a lot of good TM resources out there, and currently I'm not one of them, although TM has asked us on numerous times, kind of like Sherco and stuff, to come ride their bikes. We just can't manufacture the extra time to do that. Let's see. San Felipe Bob mentions, I've been told to go KTM 500 and never look back. Yes, you have. He's a Yamaha guy. Let's see. Check out the beta. There's Garrett. Yep. Oh, we got to talk about the betas. We got to get to our thing. We'll try to hit. We might go over tonight, but we'll hit all our questions. 2020 betas are in. We kind of hit on them. The big thing is the counterbalance 2-stroke. I think that'll help that bike a ton, especially since. And it was funny. Remember when we were doing that comparison? We had the beta and the KTM, and this was not it was the carbureted KTM. Mm-hmm. And we pull out here and rode down the street. And I hopped off the bike and I said, "Here, ride this," because it was like night and day,
like feet going numb night and day.
Yeah. And it's funny because it wasn't that bad until you rode the KTM. You didn't know it, and then all of a sudden you notice that your 4-strokes vibrate, and those have counterbalancers in them. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a big deal. A lot of new body design works. They did some stuff on their smaller bore 2-strokes to get some more power. Beta is a very, very conservative company. They don't seem like they're rushing to change anything just to change it. Mm-hmm. Some manufacturers tend to do that.
Just to get fresh news out there.
Fresh stuff. But when Beta changes stuff, generally it's pretty good. Their 4-strokes have a lot of updates, and a lot of it's in the chassis, and they've got some suspension updates, and I think those bikes will be really good. I'm waiting for fuel injection on the 2-stroke, but I'm really not that.
Do we have technical data on these new betas yet?
Yeah, on dirtbiketest.com. You priming me with the social media?
Shameless plugs.
Yeah. So on dirtbiketest.com, Trevor did a really nice story on it. It's all the information you need to know, and then if you need to know more, you can look someplace else where somebody just cut and posted the press release, and you can delve through all that stuff too.
Did they manage to shave any weight off of those bikes?
I'm trying to remember. I did not read that in the in what Trevor wrote. So if they don't point that out, then they probably
if it's
I
not
mean,
the
usually they
headliner.
make a big deal out of it, but it's kind of funny because knowing Beta and especially the way the American importer is just pretty straightforward. If it's not like 3 pounds, he's not going to talk about it. It's not like ounces and stuff. Where it's not like a bicycle manufacturer where they kind of do that. And so, betas, I'm excited to ride it. I'm still waiting to get a 200 to test. Maybe it will have to be a 2020 now. I don't know. We're a little behind the 8 ball on some of this stuff.
I would not be opposed to being in on that one.
Yeah, because then you're going to have to sell all your KDXs.
Yeah, maybe, possibly.
You know what else? Guess what I rode yesterday, John? Can you guess? Didn't you follow me on Instagram?
Was it a 4-wheel drive?
No, it wasn't a 4-wheel drive. It was an all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
So I rode and here's how much I wanted to ride it. It was 104 degrees when I left this house. And so we a couple weeks ago when it was a little bit cooler, we got the new Cristini 2020 Cristini 450 all-wheel. It's an AWD 450 DS, which means dual sport. So it's a street legal bike.
Factory street legal, correct?
Factory street legal.
That's nice.
And we got it here, and all of a sudden they found out that it needed to go out on a photo shoot with Motor Trend. So I basically had to get it all set up and send it out with the Motor Trend guy. And they took it up to Idaho, and we're working on a story up there. So I'm closing down a tab on the thing here. So anyways, it came back, a couple little dents and dings and stuff in it, but I said I got to go ride this thing because we had an older one out here, and you're familiar with this bike, the older one.
We actually have quite a bit of miles on those.
Yeah, and it was a kind of a test mule for the new one. They were working on the fuel injection, and so the new things on the Cristini is they've got it looks a lot different. They've added some black frame and black engine, I think. And so looks wise is a little bit different, but they also got a much updated Bosch fuel injection system on it. And that's what that bike, the old one, was really suffering from. It was antiquated fuel injection. It kind of worked. It made the motor run, but it wasn't all that good. And having this other bike and leading up to testing, I knew it was going to get a lot better. And then we got this one, and I'm pretty stoked on it. And what it is, and this is the thing we have to kind of paraphrase here. So Cristinis are built in, I don't know exactly where they're built. Taiwan, I think. So they have their own proprietary frame. So it's basically it's a Honda Sierra 450X, the old one. It's a knockoff of that particular bike. Is where the frame, most of it comes from.
The
engine,
golden year Honda.
The ones that was a 20-year run bike or something like whatever. So I mean that bike was around for a long time, but it's a knockoff of that integrates their all-wheel drive system. And the thing is that they I mean, that's a proven kind of design and everything, and it works. And so it's not the same as, when you're looking at some of the Japanese things and the Austrian stuff, that's just the finish is super, it's kind of like a little bit in the knockoff zone, but it's really not that bad. This stuff has gotten a lot better. And if you see how many scooters these factories knock out that run forever and ever, like some of that stuff isn't an issue anymore. And so you kind of go, well, what is, but the fact that it's a production all-wheel drive bike, and here's where it sits, is like it's a trail riding bike. It's a 100% a trail riding bike, and then we kind of go into like what is all-wheel drive, and I own a older converted Honda CRF 250X that's converted to a Cristini, and I've had it since like when they first started doing the conversions. I love that bike. It's fun to play with. And so I've had experience. I rode one of the very first Cristini prototypes way back in the day, and so I kind of understand how it works. And half of that is explaining to people. It's like it's sort of not what you think, and until you ride it, maybe you don't totally understand what it does. And it's the kind of the terminology I like to put in, and I've heard some other people say it's traction control that works. It's not like an electronic traction control that's kind of like sensing something and then figuring out what to do and then kind of trying to alter what the bike's doing by cutting the power. This thing, the Cristini feels the rear wheel slip and then starts putting power to the front wheel. So it's doubling your coefficient of traction. Because that's the only thing those are the only thing that's on the ground, as long as your handlebar's on the ground. So when that rear wheel starts losing traction, it transfers, some of the power up to the front. And where I find it amazing is just like we have a lot of the loose gravel washes and stuff here. And when you start snapping that throttle, just start grabbing it, the bike gets up and goes. We have the video of like the adventure bike in the sand.
Yeah, it has far less of that, like where if you jump on the throttle too hard and it wants to just step the tire out. It's got far less of that, and you can actually feel it kind of pull when you expect it to pull.
Yeah, and so the power, it's probably like compared to a new Honda 450X, it's probably 75% of the power. But you're thinking about it when you're trail riding, you don't need that power up on top. You need and it runs like a tractor. It's like old school.
Oh God, yes.
Like XR400, and that's where the fuel injection has gotten really good. It's kind of slung that thing. It lets it just go bug, bug, bug. And every once in a while it'll stall, but like at the low RPM you're doing it at, it's not kind of surprising. The clutch on it's really good. It's a light clutch pull, really good action.
Better than my Honda.
Transmission ratios are a little bit tight. I think they copied the 450R gearbox and not the 450X gearbox. So first gear is a little bit tall, fifth gear is a little thing. Front brake is a little bit on the soft side or weak side. But when I was talking to Christine, they said, "Hey, we just need brake pads. It's got brake pads in there that are like certified for some sort of EU certification. They have stuff that's more aggressive. So it's like
which I know." Every time I ride the Christini, I turn around and think to myself, and I go, for me, probably not the perfect bike in the world, but for probably 80% of the world,
it's
a fantastic bike. It's very forgiving. It's again with the front brakes being a little squishy. If you're kind of inexperienced, then you nab a whole handful of front brakes. It's probably not going to break your collarbone in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So it's for the kind of targeted group.
And so the only other thing I'm going to complain about is the suspension tends to blow through the stroke, the rear more than the front, and it's not bad, but it's enough to where and everything's going more stiff in competition direction. It actually has a pretty fair amount of it's a good plush suspension. It's just the back goes down a little faster than the front. And the front's a WP. It's the same fork that was on a generation ago KTM's. It doesn't have this. It's the WP open cartridge fork, the Explorer fork, but it has so it's better because it has compression and rebound on both sides, right?
I didn't know they went to the Explorer.
Yeah, so that's good. So the old fork, the new KTM fork only has compression and rebound on one side. And I'm saying that sarcastically because everybody says, well, it only has on one side. It's only half as good. I like that suspension. But anyway, so the fork is actually pretty good. It can, it can be tuned to work. And the shock, Christini actually has an Elka shock that's actually really good that you can, for $300 more, you can upgrade to that shock. And I'd still like to play with it. I haven't had a lot of time to start playing with the balance of the bike, and I think maybe transferring some of that weight to the front could help the shock out and then playing with some clicks. But like I said, I just got a quick 60 miles in it yesterday.
Yeah. But and that is another thing is it blows through the stroke a little bit, but it also makes it where the rest of the stroke's very plush.
The bike stays
cushy,
it's a heavier bike. It's connected to the ground. It tracks well, and with that all wheel drive and it's a $9,000, it's a $9,595 bike. So it's a $10,000 bike, but where else are you going to get an all wheel drive motorcycle? And from my experience, and also from seeing groups like when the military purchases motorcycles, they buy these because for novice level riders, the fact that when you're starting to lose your balance and you fall over and you gas it and that bike goes,
instead of kind of stepping the rear out and trying to high sliding out,
it really makes a difference. And as an advanced rider, it takes me about 15 minutes to learn. To get used to what that bike is doing. And it's funny because anytime that front end passes something that you want to turn around, you're on the gas. And it goes the way that you point it. Just like if you're driving, like the difference between 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive drifting around roads in a car. On a 2-wheel drive car, you're counter steering the whole time and hoping that there's some bite in there. where on a 4-wheel drive, you may counter steer a little bit, but you're going to steer into where you want to go
Yeah, the tires are pulling.
and have it pull. It's the same thing on the motorcycle. And even, so I start learning to do that. And especially I noticed it the very first time I rode one. I noticed it when I was riding in really tight technical trees where you can't lean the bike over. The minute your front end went past where you were turning, you would gas it and it would actually tug and pull the bike. And as a high level rider, I have to anticipate that and be ready for it. Because if I were on a regular bike and I gassed it at the same time, the bike would want to push for a second before it transferred the weight onto the wheel.
Exactly. Because you're upright versus, you don't have that lateral traction.
Yeah, and I think this technology is going to be it'll if somebody adapts it to an adventure bike, because I've ridden one that's on it, I've ridden that 11.9 it had on there. That's where it's going to be insane. And you're not thinking about it as like it's like a 4-wheel drive. I'm always locked in 4-wheel drive. It's like you turn it on when you want to, get unstuck or go or have low traction situations. And frankly, it's amazing. I literally had a blast riding yesterday, kind of experimenting with where I could get on the gas. And you know how rocking, it's dry and slick. And I was like, I wasn't going faster than I would on a regular bike, but I was kind of having a lot of fun playing with it. And that's the interesting thing about some of these different technologies and getting to try them. But
yeah, the riding style is definitely an adaptive feature when it comes to the Cristinis. It's you kind of have to rethink what you're doing.
I don't know if it's because it's a heavier 4-stroke. It's not like my choice for extreme enduro and stuff, but when you I've ridden them in snow, they're frankly amazing. Sand, not too bad. It's weird because you do get some torque steer. So for every advantage it has, there is some sort of built-in disadvantage that, it's a heavier feeling bike in the front end. And I was turning it on or off, the all-wheel drive on and off to feel the difference. And it definitely works better with it on. But if you start getting a little bit more aggressive and, on purpose spin the rear wheel, you can feel the torque steer. But ideally, you don't want to. Or you ride through a little ditch, and this is another thing I really noticed. So you ride through a really rocky little ditch, and you think about it. You get about here, and where it's nose down, and that's when you kind of got to get on the gas because you need some speed to climb the hill on the other side. Well, on a normal bike, you're actually driving your front end into. Because it's not going to pull. The weight's still going down.
And it's just kind of plummeting.
And I noticed that thing transferred across the bottom of the little ravine. Once it gets on the hill, it's fine. But instead of because there's no weight on the rear wheel here.
Yeah,
it's
so the
it
rear
wants to
spinning,
spin.
so the front would be pulling.
pulled, and then when that rear wheel got down to the bottom, it had all of its weight on it. It was tracking because the front end kept itself really light instead of being driven into the hill. And once you're moving up a hill, I don't think it's any advantage at all because if you steer out of line, it's going to want to pull you and you're spinning in the back.
First 5 feet
But starting and stopping and just getting going, like if you stop on a hill and you want to get going again, this bike actually goes. It doesn't want to dig a little bit of a hole. So that's kind of like just a quick talk on the Cristini. Some quick impressions. I'm sure we can touch on that later if other people have.
I think we answered most of these questions.
Yeah. But the technology's proven it's been working for a while. I'm surprised the manufacturer hasn't, kind of picked it up and started using some of this stuff. I know they've tried to get around it and they're trying to do it with electric and it's not working. But
is Cristini still building kits for motorcycles, or are they strictly into production?
So they have a 300cc that they use a gas motor.
Okay.
And that's a $9,900 bike. They use a gas engine, and they put it in that same chassis. And so you can get a 2-stroke race bike, and it has the better shock on it, and a little bit better brake components and stuff because they don't have to be. I guess it's TUV certified.
I remember back
standards.
Even not too long ago, maybe 6, 7, 10 years ago, that you could actually send them your frame and have them convert it to, they would add the.
I haven't asked if they're doing that still, but I wouldn't be surprised if they don't still have the capabilities to do that. Because you could send. They had jigs for KTM's and for Hondas.
I remember seeing a lot of the kind of whatever generation that 2008 to maybe 13, 12 KTM frame was.
Yeah,
I remember they were doing a lot back then.
That's what. So my Honda I think is a 2005, the 250X. So. Anyways, the only thing we didn't really touch on, I think, was our long-term Honda Sierra 450X, which we put a video up on the website today. So you can actually, it's on YouTube too. So you can find it on dirt bike test. We forgot to test the salsa. Yeah. Maybe we'll do that when we'll let it run for a few minutes here when we clip the mics down. And if you see us run away, it was really hot. And if we sit here and smile, I'll make it for sale next time. Yeah. So
next to the kids' shirts.
No. Yeah, right. Okay. Do we have any other questions that we should probably try to answer real quick? 32 people are on the thing right now. That's pretty good, guys. Thanks for joining us. Let's see. Amazing piece of engineering. Cristiano drives the strangest feeling at first. Yeah, so there's somebody who has some experience. And George did his job and put the website for Christini up. Mm-hmm. So, George, you should have put that video up with the guy giving you the top 5 tips, because I know you're all over the internets. You can track that one down. I'll show my throttle tip to go to 12 next week. Not next week, maybe the week after.
Yeah.
Okay, John, you have anything else to say? Wrap it up.
Send some likes, shares, and everything else that they say you're
look at
supposed
us
to give
blowing
us.
up out of the bottom corner of this thing. That's pretty good. Order apparel. Yeah,
Yes.
Order apparel. Click through on Amazon. Support the companies you see up on the banners below. Tell them you saw us on Tech Talk Taco Tuesday on Dirt Bike Test. And with that, my mouth is watering just looking at the chips and salsa.
Kid sizes soon available.
Yeah, and we will catch you out on the trail. Cheers.